Welcome back to the deep dive. This week, we aren't just summarizing the news, we're actually building a strategic snapshot of the AI landscape.
Mhm.
And we're doing that using the material you provided, the latest stack of announcements from the Retter Reboot Weekly Tech Digest.
That's right. And it was a dense week, but our mission here is really to cut through all that volume. We're extracting the pure knowledge nuggets from these 10 key developments, and we're structuring them around three major themes: accessibility, infrastructure, and commerce. I think we need to answer the biggest question on everyone's mind right now. What major AI trends are, well, converging to reshape how we all work and live?
Okay, let's unpack this. I think we should start with what feels most immediate for the everyday user, which is this relentless push for accessibility. The goal right now seems to be eliminating the need for you, the user, to know how to code or even use external tools to use this incredibly powerful AI.
Exactly. This is all about the democratization of advanced AI. And the first two announcements are just textbook examples of how providers are doing it. They're making the AI a collaborative partner.
First up, Anthropic's launch of Cowork. I mean, I love the name because it tells you exactly what they're trying to do. The
Yeah.
core feature is that you can build sophisticated applications and, these long, complicated workflows with the Claude AI model, all without writing a single line of traditional code.
It's a total game changer for specialized roles.
Yeah.
I mean, traditionally, if your marketing team wanted to automate some complex sequence, say, summarizing 5 documents, extracting key competitive quotes, and then drafting a press release outline, you need an engineer to build that pipeline.
Right, you'd have to put in a ticket and wait. But with Cowork, you just describe the entire goal in natural language. You just tell Claude what you want at the end, and the model handles all the logic, the structure, and the execution behind the scenes. You're just defining the destination, and Claude is figuring out the route.
And the really profound consequence here is market disruption. It shifts complex IT projects from, a developer function to a managerial or creative function. It positions Claude as a true functional collaborator who does the heavy lifting, which just accelerates the speed at which non-technical teams can deploy their own custom AI solutions.
It completely lowers the barrier to entry for custom tooling. Okay, so speaking of lowering barriers and streamlining things, we also saw a major utility improvement with ChatGPT. They're rolling out new native built-in translation features.
Yeah, and this may seem minor compared to building whole applications, but it's absolutely critical for what we call stickiness. They're moving way beyond simple, mechanical word-for-word output. The focus is on delivering natural, context-aware translations right inside the chat interface and supporting multiple languages.
Okay, but why does integrating translation natively matter so much? I mean, other services do it pretty well.
It's all about friction.
Friction.
Exactly. Every time you have to leave the chat interface to
Yeah.
copy text, go over to Google Translate, bring it back, you introduce friction. And that friction is a vulnerability. By integrating high-quality contextual translation, they make sure that ChatGPT remains the single indispensable source for all your info and communication needs. It just strengthens their foundation by removing any reason for you to leave.
That makes perfect sense. Okay, so if AI is getting this much easier for the individual to use, the next logical question has to be, who's running the engine underneath all this? Let's pivot to the core infrastructure battle and how AI is becoming more proactive. This is where the industry landscape starts shifting in some really fascinating ways.
It really is. This section reveals that the core AI models are now so powerful that they're sort of transcending platform loyalty. They're becoming essential foundational utilities, even for deep-seated competitors.
And the news that really shook the tech world, which was reported by Mech Rumors, is that Google's Gemini models are reportedly being considered to power Apple's next-generation Siri upgrade. I mean, you have to just pause and reflect on that. That level of competitive cross-pollination is wild.
If this deal goes through, it's a tectonic shift. It really is. Apple has, for its entire history, staked its identity on its closed ecosystem, the walled garden. For them to even seriously consider leveraging an external powerhouse like Gemini, it just speaks volumes about the gap in their internal AI capability right now. Let's be honest, Siri desperately needs stronger reasoning, conversational depth, and multimodal understanding.
Wait a second, but doesn't that fundamentally weaken Google's own competitive edge against Apple in the long term? I mean, aren't they essentially giving away the crown jewels? If Apple's most persistent weakness, Siri, suddenly becomes powerful using Google's tech, how does Google win?
That is the tension, and it highlights this emerging reality. The most powerful AI models, like Gemini, they're becoming infrastructure, a necessary utility. Google might make money licensing the models, sure, but more importantly, they ensure that their foundational tech is embedded in billions of devices globally.
Huh?
Even their rivals. It's an acknowledgement that the battle isn't just about the phone anymore, it's about controlling the underlying AI operating system of the world.
So the models are the infrastructure, and Google is now focused on making that infrastructure ambient and truly proactive, using the data they already have about you.
Exactly. We saw the new Gemini beta feature for proactive responses.
Huh.
This is the model moving from being just a reactive tool, responding to a prompt, to being an anticipatory partner that actively surfaces reminders or insights for you.
And the devil is in the details of the data they're using here. It's your personal context, which includes photos, emails, and other contextual signals. I'm immediately thinking of the time my calendar tried to remind me of a meeting I'd already canceled because it scanned the wrong email. If it messes up proactive scanning, that's not just annoying, that's a serious privacy breach.
You've hit the nail on the head. The goal is this truly ambient, context-aware AI surfacing suggestions without you even asking, making the AI feel genuinely helpful. But this inherently increases the risk profile. When an AI is constantly scanning your most private communications and images to be proactive, the level of trust required just goes up dramatically.
It moves the relationship from a simple tool you use to an active participant in your digital life. So you, the listener, really have to evaluate that trade-off between convenience and data control, because that line is clearly getting blurrier this week.
Absolutely. The deeper the AI dives into your personal data streams, the more critical the guardrails have to be.
Okay, so let's leave the realm of data and infrastructure and talk about money. We are seeing a massive acceleration in what's being called agentic shopping. AI systems that don't just recommend products but are empowered to actively complete purchases for you.
This is the big transition. This is where AI becomes an economic actor. And the implications for commerce and for how merchants interact with customers are just enormous.
Google is pushing hard into this space with a brand new commerce framework. It's designed specifically to support these agentic shopping experiences.
Right, and what this means is they are enabling their AI to autonomously browse products, compare different options, and then complete purchases on your behalf. But more importantly, they are providing structured tools for merchants and developers, like APIs and protocols, to integrate their catalogs, their pricing, and their checkout flows directly into these AI assistants.
So if I'm a merchant, I'm basically providing all my data directly to Google's AI. What's the massive implication here?
The major implication is that Google is threatening to disintermediate merchants. They won't own the transaction, not just the search result. Shopping shifts from a traditional search experience where you click and you go to a third-party website to this autonomous, assistant-led purchasing journey that happens within Google's ecosystem. They become the checkout counter, not just the front door.
And Microsoft is making sure they don't miss out on this. They just launched Copilot Checkout in the US, allowing their assistant to help complete
Purchases conversationally, yes. But their approach is highly tactical. It seeks to address a major point of industry friction and, frankly, distrust. Microsoft is really emphasizing that their system relies on explicit merchant consent before they enable any listings and transactions.
Why is that emphasis on merchant consent such a big deal right now? What's the context there?
Because other rivals have faced, well, significant criticism when their AI-driven product listings or summaries seem to just circumvent the merchant's wishes or their pricing strategy or the customer journey they want. By positioning Copilot Checkout as a controlled, partner-friendly entry into this space, Microsoft is really banking on trust. They're aiming to be the safe, authorized transactional assistant, and that could be a huge differentiator in this crowded market.
So the theme in commerce is simple. The assistants are moving from offering advice to actually holding the wallet.
Precisely. They are closing the loop between intent and purchase.
Okay, let's dedicate our final segment to what's happening at the bleeding edge. The performance arms race, specialization, and the battle for control over core technology.
And control is paramount, especially as these models become foundational economic tools. We see that immediately with Anthropic cracking down on unauthorized Claude usage this past week.
They're targeting third-party services, which they call harnesses, that access Claude without authorization.
And this is a massive policy and business move. As AI models become critical infrastructure, the model providers must ensure control over distribution, monetization, and policy. By blocking these unapproved integrations, they're citing security, reliability, and compliance concerns. If they lose control of the access points, they lose control of the business, risking security breaches and, a dilution of the model's reputation. They're protecting their most valuable asset.
It's the enterprise realization that they can't be responsible for a model that's being accessed through dozens of unauthorized backdoors. But while they're tightening control on the infrastructure, they're also specializing the output. Anthropic also announced a deeper push into the highly sensitive healthcare and life sciences sector.
And this specialization is key to generating actual ROI. A general model is helpful, sure, but the specialized models that understand the extremely nuanced language of medicine, summarizing medical literature, assisting with clinical trial design, analyzing health data, that is where the real applied value and high-margin revenue lies.
And in that kind of high-stakes environment, they have to commit to strict safety and privacy standards, which becomes its own specialization challenge.
Oh, absolutely. The bar for error is basically zero in fields like medicine, which forces providers to engineer models with much, much tighter controls and very specific training data.
Let's jump from specialization to the raw performance competition, specifically in coding. We heard some pretty big claims that DeepSeek's upcoming V4 model is actually outperforming both Claude and ChatGPT in complex coding benchmarks.
This is a critical data point for any developer listening right now. Early testers are reporting stronger code generation, better debugging accuracy, and exceptional handling of complex programming tasks and these long context requests.
In the coding assistant market, performance isn't just some technical metric, it's a source of developer loyalty. Developers need speed and accuracy to handle intricate projects. If DeepSeek V4's claims are confirmed when it launches, it will immediately escalate the competitive pressure. Engineers will just flock to the assistant that makes them the most productive.
It just goes to show that even in these highly specialized niches like developer tooling, the technological lead is incredibly fluid. Today's top model can easily be tomorrow's second place.
And finally, let's close out our news stack with a nod to the massive creator economy. Google updated its VO 3.1 video generation model.
And this is a very targeted update. It's aimed entirely at mobile consumption. The new capability allows users to create vertical videos using reference images for detailed visual guidance, like matching a specific aesthetic or a style.
So why is accommodating vertical video so important for a major generative model like VO?
Because that's the native format of the social internet today. TikTok, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts. Content creators are demanding tools that produce social-ready assets right out of the box, with perfect framing and composition for a vertical screen. This update reinforces VO's ability to compete directly in that massive, short-form, mobile-first content space.
That was a tremendous deep dive into, well, a fire hose of news. So let's synthesize everything for the listener. Based on these 10 key developments, what is the core convergence happening right now?
I think we're seeing a simultaneous push on three interdependent fronts. First, AI is becoming dramatically easier to use, eliminating code and external tools, as we saw with Anthropic's co-work in native translation. Second, AI is cementing itself as foundational infrastructure, so powerful that competitors like Apple might need to license it, while also becoming smarter and more context-aware, proactively scanning your personal data.
And the third axis is the integration of that smarter, more accessible AI directly into the economy, moving rapidly from informational search to agentic shopping and completing purchases on your behalf thanks to the frameworks from Google and Microsoft. The line between a simple utility and an autonomous agent is just blurring at a blinding speed.
Exactly. And that brings us to the final thought that we hope you mull over this week. What stands out here is the convergence of power and trust. If your AI assistant is being built on leading models like Gemini, is now accessing your personal data proactively, scanning your photos and emails for context, and is being empowered to complete purchases for you, how much of your daily decision-making and your digital presence will soon exist entirely without your conscious, moment-to-moment input. It's a transition worth tracking very closely.
An essential frontend for the age of agentic computing. Thank you for supplying the material for this deep dive. Stay curious, stay informed, and we'll catch you on the next one.